Have you ever looked at your lemon tree and wondered, I'm watering it regularly, I've fertilized it, so why are the leaves still turning yellow? If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. Thousands of gardeners make the same mistake every year, believing that yellow leaves automatically mean their tree needs more water or more fertilizer. But here's the truth that surprises most growers. Yellow leaves are rarely caused by bad luck, and adding more fertilizer without knowing the real problem can actually make your tree weaker instead of healthier. Every yellow leaf is your lemon tree's way of sending you an important message. The challenge is that most people don't know how to read those signals. In today's video, I'll show you exactly how to identify the real reason your lemon tree is turning yellow, how to avoid the costly mistakes that damage healthy trees, and the same practical techniques experienced citrus growers use to restore deep green, healthy foliage. By the end of this video, you'll be able to examine your own tree, recognize the warning signs, and confidently choose the correct solution instead of wasting time and money on treatments that don't work. If you enjoy practical gardening advice based on real experience rather than guesswork, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications because every week I share proven tips that help gardeners grow stronger, healthier, and more productive fruit trees. Now, let's begin with the biggest misunderstanding most lemon growers have. Many people believe that if they water their tree regularly and feed it once or twice during the season, everything should be fine. Then one morning they notice yellow leaves spreading through the canopy, and panic sets in. Some immediately add more fertilizer. Others water even more, thinking the tree is thirsty. A few assume insects or diseases are responsible. Unfortunately, these reactions often make the situation worse because the real issue hasn't been identified yet. Your lemon tree doesn't randomly develop yellow leaves. The pattern of yellowing tells a story. Which leaves change color first? Are the veins still green? Does the yellowing begin on older leaves or fresh new growth? These small details reveal exactly what's happening inside the plant. Learning to read those clues is one of the most valuable skills any gardener can develop. After years of growing citrus trees and helping gardeners solve these problems, I've seen the same mistake repeated countless times. Someone applies iron when the tree actually needs nitrogen. Another gardener flushes the soil because they think they've overwatered, when in reality the tree is suffering from nutrient starvation. These incorrect treatments waste money, delay recovery, and reduce fruit production. That's why proper diagnosis always comes before treatment. Among all the possible causes, 2 nutrient deficiencies are responsible for most cases of yellow lemon leaves: nitrogen deficiency and iron deficiency, also known as iron chlorosis. Although both problems produce yellow leaves, they look completely different and require completely different solutions. Understanding the difference can save your tree and prevent months of frustration. Let's begin with nitrogen deficiency, the most common issue found in home gardens. Nitrogen is one of the essential building blocks for healthy citrus growth. It fuels vigorous shoots, encourages lush green foliage, supports photosynthesis, and gives your tree the rich green appearance that signals good health. Without enough nitrogen, the tree cannot produce sufficient chlorophyll, and as chlorophyll levels drop, leaves gradually lose their green color and begin turning yellow. One of the easiest ways to recognize nitrogen deficiency is by observing where the yellowing starts. Unlike many other nutrient problems, nitrogen deficiency first affects the oldest leaves located deep inside the tree or near the lower branches. This happens because nitrogen is a mobile nutrient. When supplies become limited, the tree moves nitrogen from older leaves into younger developing shoots to keep new growth alive. In simple terms, the tree sacrifices its oldest leaves to protect its newest ones. That's why the lower leaves fade first while fresh growth often remains green for some time. This pattern is one of the clearest signs that your tree needs additional nitrogen rather than another random treatment. But why does nitrogen deficiency happen in the first place? One common reason is simply insufficient feeding. Lemon trees are heavy feeders compared with many other fruit trees. A single fertilizer application in early spring is rarely enough to support continuous growth throughout the entire season. As the tree keeps producing leaves, flowers, and fruit, its demand for nitrogen continues increasing. If fresh nutrients aren't supplied regularly, stored reserves become depleted and deficiency symptoms begin to appear. Another overlooked cause is soil pH. Even when nitrogen exists in the soil, an alkaline environment can make it much harder for roots to absorb it efficiently. In this situation, the nutrients are physically present, but chemically unavailable, leaving the tree hungry despite sitting in nutrient-rich soil. Excessive rainfall or frequent overwatering can create another problem by washing soluble nitrogen beyond the reach of the root system before the tree has time to absorb it. This is especially common in sandy soils where water drains rapidly. Gardeners often respond by adding even more fertilizer, but unless the watering habits are corrected, much of that fertilizer simply washes away again. Fortunately, nitrogen deficiency is usually straightforward to correct once it's properly identified. Consistent feeding with a balanced citrus fertilizer containing adequate nitrogen, combined with healthy watering practices and proper soil management, allows the tree to rebuild chlorophyll production and support vigorous new growth. However, before rushing to apply fertilizer, there's another major cause of yellow leaves that looks completely different and is frequently confused with nitrogen deficiency. This second problem affects the youngest leaves instead of the oldest, produces a unique yellow and green pattern, and often has nothing to do with the amount of iron present in the soil. Understanding this difference is critical because treating it incorrectly can keep your lemon tree struggling for months, even though you've been trying your best to help it. Now let's talk about the second major cause of yellow leaves, iron deficiency, also known as iron chlorosis. Unlike nitrogen deficiency, this problem appears first on the newest leaves growing at the tips of the branches. The biggest clue is easy to spot. The leaf itself turns bright yellow, but the veins remain dark green, creating a striking pattern that's almost impossible to miss once you know what to look for. This happens because iron is an immobile nutrient, meaning the tree cannot transfer it from older leaves to new growth. Even if mature leaves still contain enough iron, the fresh leaves develop yellow because they simply can't access what they need. Surprisingly, most lemon trees suffering from iron deficiency aren't actually growing in iron-poor soil. The real problem is usually soil that's too alkaline. When the soil pH rises above the ideal range, iron becomes locked away in forms the roots can't absorb. Overwatering can make things even worse by reducing oxygen around the roots, weakening their ability to take up nutrients. That's why it's so important to diagnose the real cause before adding any fertilizer. So, how do professional growers solve this problem? First, they test the soil pH instead of guessing. Healthy lemon trees grow best in slightly acidic soil, with a pH between 5.5 and 6.5. If the pH is too high, they gradually lower it using soil amendments while applying chelated iron, which remains available to the tree even under difficult soil conditions. They also improve drainage, avoid constant overwatering, and make sure the roots receive enough oxygen to stay healthy. Remember, healthy roots are the foundation of a healthy tree. Before you treat any yellow leaves, ask yourself 3 simple questions. Are the older leaves turning yellow first? Are the newest leaves yellow with green veins? Or is the entire tree looking weak because the roots are staying too wet? Answering these questions will guide you toward the correct solution instead of wasting time and money on treatments your tree doesn't actually need. The biggest lesson from today's video is simple. Never guess. Your lemon tree is constantly communicating through its leaves. If you learn to understand those signals, you'll catch problems early, fix them correctly, and enjoy healthier growth and bigger harvests year after year. Yellow leaves aren't the end of your tree. They're simply an early warning that something needs attention. Take the time to diagnose the problem, correct the root cause, and be patient. New healthy green leaves will soon replace the old yellow ones, proving that the right knowledge always produces the best results. If you found this guide helpful, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications because every week I share practical, field-tested gardening tips that help you grow stronger, healthier, and more productive fruit trees. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.